Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome to the Angel and Tina Morning Show. How are you guys doing?
Good morning.
Well, hey.
How you guys doing? Glad to see everybody.
I'm so glad that you guys are able to join us this morning on this Friday morning before Memorial Day. Is everybody having like a 3-day weekend or a 4-day weekend?
Yeah.
Everybody's quarantined. Everybody's had a 9-week weekend.
Yeah, we've had a 90-day, almost a 75-day weekend with quarantine. Right? So this is going to be out.
Well, and somebody mentioned something about the holiday, and I was like, what holiday?
What holiday?
Almost
You're like, what holiday? They're like Memorial Day. You're like, oh, it's May already?
It's May, and it's the end of May already. Like,
right? It's gone by so fast.
It really has.
I feel like if you were quarantined, it would go by like super slow.
Yeah.
But it's gone by super fast.
Yeah. No, it's gone by so fast. I mean, like, it's like I'm sleeping and I'm thinking, okay, I wake up and I'm like, what day are we in?
Yeah.
You know,
we have to do that all the time. I think the only time we know what day it is because we have the Angel and Tina morning show Monday through Friday.
Well, it's kind of been a surprise. It's been a surprise for us to get to know each other as a family again. You know, we get to talking again, and nobody's doing on the phone, all the time and stuff. It's been kind of pleasurable.
How many kids do you guys have?
6 between us. 6, all girls.
All girls.
All
girls. Do they all live at home?
No.
I was going to say, oh Lord.
Yeah, listen, you'd have to get an estrogen blocker if they're all here at one time.
You would.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Well, our guests are Larry Thompson and Taylor Thompson. We're super excited to have you guys. What would you normally be doing on a Memorial Day weekend if we weren't in quarantine?
I mean, usually we're pretty family oriented. We're really homebodies, to be honest with you. We would probably hang out by our pool. We'd probably cook out, a little traditional cookout have some family over, probably make some margaritas. Not that Larry drinks them, but holiday and margaritas go hand in hand with me. So, I mean, we're
any day and margaritas go hand in hand, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So no, we're pretty traditional.
Yeah, we'd pretty much be doing the same thing we're doing now with an extra day. We hang out a lot at home, but when we vacation and have a great time as a family and with Taylor and I. So it's kind of normal. We're just normal.
Where are you guys coming from?
We live in, we say Dallas, right? Because everybody knows where Dallas is, but we actually live in a little town north of Dallas. It's a suburb of Dallas, named Prosper. Prosper, Texas.
That's a nice name.
Purposely chosen.
Right.
All right. So, Tina, what would you normally be doing on a Memorial Day weekend?
My kids would probably be home. All 3 of my boys are gone. So they probably would all come home and we would do like a cookout or a barbecue and go somewhere to watch fireworks or go to the beach. But we are going to the lake on Monday after the morning show. So
you are. Yeah. It's like an outdoor, we go, camping, or we go, there's like lakes and reservoirs and rivers and stuff. Yeah. It's like something about being outdoorsy, always barbecue. Yeah. But I totally forgot. And it's just, you're right, Larry, it's been like a 75-day, 3-day weekend.
Yes.
It doesn't feel like a holiday. We didn't have the graduations. We didn't have the proms. We didn't do all the things leading up to it. What have you been quarantining? What have you guys been doing?
Well, it's interesting that you say graduation because our middle daughter, Candace, she graduated from college, and it was pretty emotional for her because,
was it a virtual?
Yeah. I mean, who has a virtual graduation and she missed it because she's graduated from nursing school. So they have like an extra ceremony where they get pinned, and it's a really big deal. And so she was really looking forward to that. She had an illness and had to sit out one semester. And so there's been a lot of challenges. I think she was really looking forward to that closure piece. Mm-hmm. And, but we did something really fun and made it fun. we had a little surprise, champagne brunch for her. One of her friends showed up from college. And then, that evening well, I don't say a bunch. I mean, like,
less than 10.
Yeah. I mean, we had family over and her boyfriend, and we surprised her with a party, a graduation party here at the house. And,
were you able to pin her?
Yeah. Well, what was interesting is that my mom is a nurse too. And so she gave her, I forgot what it's called. It's like an ethos or something like it's like a medical symbol. And it was a necklace that my mom had whenever she graduated, and she passed it off to her with the RN and the nursing. And so it made it really special in spite of everything. So
yeah, that was a special moment for Candace and her grandmother. It was and for the rest of the family, but it was really nice.
I think that we're finding ways to make this time memorable and special. And like you said, Larry, we're finding more ways to connect with our families and spending more time together in ways that we just haven't been for years. And so fabulous for you guys to make that day still a special treat for her. What are you looking forward to the most coming out of all of this?
Well, it's not going to change a whole lot for us. What the nicest thing about the whole thing for us, if there's not, you got to find niceness in everything and the best in everything, is that as a family, it's not so much constantly this, with the phones, just sitting there having different kind of conversations and having conversations without looking down at the phone. And
did you guys bring out the board games again?
Yeah, it's interesting. We've played card games, and we've done. And what's interesting is when the girls were little, we used to do that all the time. We always would play games, right? And we've always been very traditionalist when it comes to eating together. I mean, like we always, there's not a day that goes by that we don't sit down at least one time, if not twice, all together as a family and have conversation. And so I think that's I don't know that that's normal anymore. I know that that's how we grew up.
Yeah.
But we've always made that a priority. And I think that even now it's even more so of a priority. But the biggest challenge in the conversation is not talking about the problem, right? Mm-hmm. Not talking about, you know what I mean? Because it's coming at us in so many different directions.
Yeah. I mean, you just if you stay focused on you find yourself without struggle, focusing on each other and with what's going on without the distractions. So it's been a nice reacquaintance at a deeper level. And that's been it's been very good for me.
Even when we go out now, which I'm not doing a whole lot of going out. I've pretty much been home for 10 weeks. And
let's just say she's not going out at all.
I went out. I really haven't. I really have not really left the house.
Gone to the grocery store.
No, I went one time. I did go to the grocery store one time when my husband had gone to help my daughters move, and he was gone for the weekend. And I'm wearing a mask. You're social distancing, and I just thought this just doesn't appeal to me. I just would rather stay home and have everything delivered, and find my way there while they're trying to figure out how we're going to open up and roll out. I'll just wait it out and let them figure it out, because it just didn't appeal to me at all. But we would normally be going down. My kids work at Disney, and Disney Springs opened yesterday. And so they're getting excited about the possibility of going back to work and being back involved, being around people again. So,
because we're in Texas, I think we're one of the first states to really because we've had restaurants and stuff open since the first weekend in May. Mm-hmm. I think that and we actually went out on Cinco de Mayo. And I don't know if you know this. I mean, Tina, since you're I think of Hispanic descent. Yeah. I don't know about you, Angel, but I didn't know this until actually just this one that Mexican American, they do not.
We don't celebrate. They don't celebrate. It's an American holiday.
It's an American holiday to drink.
Yes.
I never knew that. And But I think the thing that was, so we went out on Cinco de Mayo, right? And I think the thing that was we were the most taken back, to be honest with you, is just how rude people were and impatient with people. I mean,
The staff
especially like the workers and the staff,
Really?
and oh, it was really bad. I mean, like the first restaurant that we went in, there was no way we were going to get in. And, the people were really rude. And, Larry was very, said, it's okay. It's not your fault. It's totally fine. We totally understand. We went to another restaurant.
Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah. I mean, well, and we're trying to support our local businesses because we are in a smaller community. So we want to support local. And so we were trying to stay here instead of going off somewhere else. And so we went to just another little community up the road. And it was we had to wait. It was like 6:15 or so, and the line, and people were just so impatient. But we were really tested it was like 45 minutes before we got our drink order. We literally did not end up leaving the restaurant till 10:15. That's how long it took them.
And the workers were all doing such a great job. And when they're coming around, you're trying to encourage them, because, hey, listen, it's not their fault. Everybody's in this together, and it's okay for us to be a little delayed in our service. It's okay. We don't have to have the Kardashian attitude 24/7.
Right? We had that when we went on the boat last week. Our boat was ready, and the guy was pushing us out, and this couple next to us, their boat wasn't ready, and she was like, "What is that on the seat?" And I'm sitting there looking through my glasses, so then that way she can't see that I'm going, "What the heck are you doing?" And she was like, "Oh my God, this is unacceptable." And I was just like, "Give it," and the guy was just like, "I'm sorry, if you can give me like 3 minutes, I'll get to you." And he kept apologizing, and we kept saying, "You're doing a great job, and thank you so much."
They forgot how to be polite, right? Because they're sitting at home and they don't have to have their pleases and thank yous, right? Like people forgot about how to engage socially.
They're being Angel's word, gritchy.
They're gritchy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like gritchy people.
That's like grouchy and witchy at the same time.
Yeah, I don't like gritchy people, right?
Hey, listen, at the end of the day, we're all the same. And we think we're different because of some kind of status or some kind of income or some kind of positioning. But at the end of the day, we're all the same. And it's called respect. It's called respect and appreciation. I appreciate the people that wait on me and serve me. I appreciate them so ever much.
And if anything, this all should have made us more like that 9/11 period where we were nicer to each other and we were kinder to each other. And, we did the pay it forward type of method, but obviously
something happened, right? Something happened. We all got a little something.
Yeah, I think the thing that we're sharing right now is the minor. I think more people, the conversation that we're having is more of the major population is what I'm seeing and sensing. But, it does make you think, how can that be? I'm, just so thankful that we're there and doing stuff. So.
Well, let's get to know you two just a little bit better. Let's introduce you to our audience. Because they just, we're having a great conversation, but I want them to be able to follow up with you and to, get more.
And to actually know who these people are.
Right? Yes. Right. We have Larry Thompson and Taylor Thompson. They are a fabulous couple with the LT Wealth Building Academy. You can find them online at larryandtaylor.com. And so as I was going through and reading through their bio, it is very, very they have a long history together. And so Larry, why don't you just tell us a little bit about the Wealth Building Academy, how you came to be, so successful in life, and then introduce how you met Taylor.
Oh, that's going to be the best part right there.
Okay. He's like, can I just skip to that part?
Well, obviously my niche and my business background is in network marketing, and I got started 52 years ago.
He just had his 52nd birthday, May the 4th.
Yeah, in network marketing.
You started when you were 1 year old?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. It was a very interesting thing for me getting started. It wasn't network marketing back then. It wasn't multi-level. We were called pyramiders, is what it was. You had drug dealers here and gamblers down here, and we were in between. That's what it was. And my background wasn't one of business at all. I came from a working background. There was 5 of us kids that lived in about an 800 square foot house with 1 bathroom and 2 bedrooms, and all the kids had to kind of divide up between the bedrooms and the service porch that we lived in. Didn't know any different, loved it. We had a great life and did not know that we were poor and until I got into junior high school in the 7th grade. And what happened is that you had to be bused across town to the other side of the tracks to the junior high school, because junior high school is 7th and 8th grade. That was the first time I'd ever known that everybody wasn't like us. And most people see that type of thing and they get upset about it, the pride. I got excited that other people lived like this, the way the kids talked and act and the way they dressed and the houses and things. I thought this really something, and I respected it. And it never occurred to me that something like that could ever happen for me until that fateful night that I got that phone call from a fellow construction worker that was a few years older than my group that I worked with. And his name was Mike Fuller. And Mike was kind of special because we always borrowed money from him on Thursday for the lunch truck, because he always had money and we didn't, so that was kind of different. And plus he had his own house, plus he had a couple of duplexes. So when he called me, I was paying attention. But the real reason that I went to that fateful meeting that night was it was going to be held at the Hyatt Hotel in San Jose, California. And I used to drive by there doing construction work. And it had, the porte cochere where you drive the cars underneath and they open your doors. And I said, that's so cool, and I always, every time I drive by, I'd look at that and I'd get amazed by it. And when he told me that meeting, I didn't want to go to the meeting at all because it was a last minute deal. And he said, we're going to be at the Hyatt Hotel. So that got me excited. And
how old were you then, Taylor? You were in high school?
No, I was not. I was 23 at that time.
You were 23. Okay.
23. Okay. I graduated. I never finished high school because that's another part of the story, because I was too shy to give the oral book report. Okay. That was done. And I could tell you the color of your shoes, but not the color of your eyes. Mm-hmm. And so it was, at 16, I knew, because I didn't give that oral book report that was required back then. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but you had to read the book, write about the book, and then walk across the stage and give the report. Today, they don't even have to know how to read, but that was different back then. And I was just too shy to give that oral book report. And after 2 years in a row, it was obvious that I wasn't going to graduate. So when I became 16, I quit high school and went to work in construction work with my family, my dad, my brothers, my cousins, my uncles. And I liked it. I enjoyed it. I loved it. Okay. It was great man stuff, and I was very good at what I was doing. I had a natural knack for it for whatever reason. And as I said earlier, I never thought about doing anything different. Never crossed my mind to do anything except construction work. But that night that I got the call from Mike Fuller and I went over to the hotel, I was a long-haired hippie construction worker, okay? Back then, some people had read about hippies, but they hadn't seen one. And I'm going to this fancy hotel. And when Mike asked me to come to that meeting—
I think we might need a picture of that.
Oh, we do. But when Mike asked me to come to that meeting, my only hesitation, I wanted to go because I wanted to go to that hotel. And the only reason that I hesitated was I was having a bad hair day, man, to be honest with you. And I had to figure out, can I make it look good enough, and the timeline that I got to get there. And so what do you wear to your first meeting at a hotel and a meeting, a business meeting? What do you wear? Well, I put on my best beads and my moccasins, and here we went, A very interesting story that night about what happened with people didn't want me to be at the meeting. I was like a leprechaun, not a leprechaun, a leper. And they didn't want me by their best prospect. But the best thing that took place that night is I got to meet 2 very, very special people. It turned out to be they were the original group that started network marketing years before, okay? And the individual giving the meeting that night was Bobby Depew. He was a former school teacher, and he came out of the Neutral Bio Company. And if you pay attention to Ron Henley, the museum curator of network marketing, that's where all the guys came from, including MA and all that. They all came out of that group. But Bobby was given a meeting, and he was a former school teacher. And he had the ability to talk to you like you were the only one in the room. And I related to him for whatever reason. I related to him. And at the end of the meeting, what got me, I'll be honest with you, he was talking about how if we're going to succeed, if you're thinking if you're going to succeed or not. And he says, I can't promise you success here, He says, I can't do it. I can tell you that others like us have had this success. And I can tell you, we'll share with you exactly how they did it. But only thing I can promise you is, what if it turns out 10% for you, like it's turned out for us? And that's what got me. I went to my default position. 90% I can't have it, 10% I can't have. I went to that natural default position of not being finishing high school and all of that. And so that was a big, big deal. And Bobby was the original strategist and tactician in the whole network marketing space nowadays, we call it. But the other thing that was very significant that night, there was another guest that night that joined the same company that night. And it was Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn and I joined the same company the same night at the same meeting. And Jim came there and joined because Bobby wanted him to become the vice president of training, but he wanted him to build a group first so he could have validity in the field. And Bobby and Jim took me under their wings because at that time, the DNA profile of people in our space was 35 plus years old, 3-piece suits, cigar smoking, whiskey drinking, white shoes, Cadillac driving group. That's what it was. Okay?
And here you were.
Here I am, and nobody wants their guest sitting next to me at the meeting. Now, that's another story. But Bobby and Jim took me under their wings, and it's an amazing story what happened. But quite frankly, I got away with the strategical, tactical things that this industry was built upon, and the philosophical things, the perspective of Jim. And I worked with those guys. The both of them went home to the Lord, and spent more time, stage time and personal time with both Jim and Bobby than anybody. And it's been a tremendous, tremendous blessing for me, because it tells me that if I can do, I know what they taught me, and I know what happened for me. If I can teach that to other people, I don't care what their circumstances are, it can happen for them too.
So Taylor, what was he wearing when you met him?
That's a different story.
Oh wait, there's a lot of, we've got to cover a lot in between before we
no, darlings, I'm sorry, you don't get to tell the whole story. You're right. I want to know what he was wearing.
I don't remember. I don't remember. I mean, so our story.
She wasn't wearing the moccasins and the beads and the long hair though, right?
No,
she was like, thank God, no.
So, but this part of this, we got to have this part of the story, because that's how it comes to me. Because whenever he had went to where he connected with Mark Hughes, which was a very significant he actually joined years later, joined another company, and the same day joined the same company as Mark Hughes. Now, probably
the founder of Herbalife.
Most people don't know the name Mark Hughes, but he was the founder of Herbalife, right? And so him and Larry became, connected. Larry became vice president. He was the #1 salesperson. That company closed down, and then Mark wanted to start Herbalife. Well, Larry, he was like, he wanted to be with his family, so he was a little torn. So anyway, long story short, they ended up coming together. They started Herbalife in 1980. So there's a whole story and a history that goes with that. But so as they got Herbalife started, he reached out to his sister. So his sister was a lady truck driver, and she lived in Texas. She had lived in California. He got her to move to Texas. And as soon as she moved to Texas, he moved back to California to start Herbalife. And so she became the first Herbalife distributor in the state of Texas.
A real lady truck driver.
Okay. Wow.
So you don't meet a lot of those.
No, we're talking, with no bra and everything.
She still doesn't have a bra. But she's got a 300-acre ranch with a whole bunch of long-eared cattle, man.
I love it. What part of California did you live in, Larry?
What was the question?
Well, he grew up in the San Joaquin Valley, which is the northern part
of California. And at that point, I was living in a city called Livermore, California, which is in the Bay Area. And then I was in Dallas when we started Herbalife, and when we got started with Herbalife in 1980. But
and then he moved back to LA. So it was the year. So our paths didn't cross. So where it picks up with my story. So I had I got started in network marketing because I wanted mom care versus daycare, right? I had just had a new baby. I was looking for a way to make it an extra $800. And I tried so many different crazy things, from, this, you have to remember, this is before internet. This is before social media. This is before cell phones. You have to think back in that time frame. I was answering ads from a newspaper, right? One ads, work from home, make money. And, that was like literally stuffing envelopes, all this really scammy stuff. But I really believed that there was a possibility out there. And, I kept getting introduced because at that time, there was not a lot of network marketing companies like you see on every corner. And they, I kept running across these Herbalife ads. And I had a preconceived idea about it. Like, I don't want to sell anything, right? Right. I mean, isn't that the typical response? And, but I ended up after several times, you have to remember, I lived in West Texas, and what happened is I answered an ad, and for me, it was just my perspective had changed. They shared a story with me, which I'm so passionate about stories. And we talked about that with the She Network, but, they told me about this couple that was making $10,000 a month in a little town not far from where I lived in West Texas, and I never believed that a mom like me could make $10,000. That's not what I heard. But I did hear that, gosh, if they could make that kind of money, surely I could make 800. Right. And so that's what got me started. And so I grew up in this. So Larry was my mentor because my upline was his sister. So he became my mentor. So all of his teaching, all of his training, everything because he had just left Herbalife right about the time I entered. And so there was this whole culture, there was this whole environment. It was this whole thing that Larry had it was all him. It was all of the environment that he created for the everyday average person, i.e. stay-at-home mom like me. And I got off to a really fast start. I had incredible success, and I really attribute it to the environment that we were in. And but I was in a really ugly marriage, a very abusive type marriage. And I finally fled that marriage after having three daughters. I left, and became a single mom of three. Right. But it was in this time frame, whenever I was going through all of that Mark Hughes passed away. So Mark Hughes passed away, and the field was like crazy. I mean, like everybody was like, what are we going to do? Larry's gone. Now Mark's gone. What are we going to do? And everything was in upheaval. And so Tish reached out to Larry and said, hey, can you work with, some of my people? And he agreed. And so she picked 10 of her top people in her organization. And
that's Tish, my sister, the lady truck driver.
And so I was one of the ones she picked. And so we went out to LA. We went to his ranch. You have to remember, like, if you Google where he lives, just Google Jamie Foxx's house right now. That's where he lived, where I met him, which was in Hidden Valley at the top of this hill, this long driveway. And we rolled up under this portiche, just like what he talked about at the hotel.
And now he owned one, right? He had it at his house.
Wow.
I was the last person out of the limo. Everybody had already gone inside. I was the last, and I was coming in. I was just soaking everything up. And he was coming down the stairs, and he hit the end of the stairs right as I was coming in. And that's where we had our first meet.
That's the first time you met him?
First time I met him.
Larry, what did you think of Taylor the first time you met her?
It was amazing. It was such a connection, and it wasn't a physical, it was a connection, a real heart connection. And I didn't realize that she felt the same thing. And I didn't know what to do with it because she's in my sister's downline.
She's your mentee.
Yeah.
No.
And yeah, she's the mentee, I'm the mentor.
I can't do
and
nothing.
I was in the middle of a divorce at that time, and I couldn't even, I think, am I just lonely here? What's going on? But
and I was thinking, oh my God, I'm a groupie.
Yeah.
Like, you know, because I was like, oh, you know, I mean, like I never like responded like that to anybody.
Like,
More
oh, Larry
ever.
Thompson, can I get your autograph?
It was crazy. It was super crazy. But what happened was we just developed this really like work because we were working, you know, collectively as a group because we were doing meetings and phone calls and conference calls. And so, and then there was, and I was in charge of one of the meetings. And so we had to have just a personal phone call because I was doing all the logistics and stuff. And so we had this personal conversation, and then we started having more personal conversations, right? And when I was telling him about my life, and I was like, well, this is crazy. This is insane. Here I am, a single mom of 3. I've got little girls. He's 20 years older than I am. He lives in California. Like, this is insane for me to even entertain this idea. I mean, this doesn't even make sense.
How long did it take before you entertained the idea?
18 months.
18 months before we had our first date.
Wow.
18 months.
And how long ago was that?
15 years ago. 18 years ago.
18 years
On
ago.
the first date. Yeah.
Fabulous.
And it was
You
really
guys
special.
dated for 3 years?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we dated for 3 years. It was real important to Larry because my girls were young, you know, that he develop a relationship with them before we, you know, forced that upon them. You know, we knew, but it was just, we were trying to be respectful of them for them to embrace.
I got to tell you, but Cassie, our youngest, she was put on the phone with me, which is probably 3 or 4 years old, whatever it was. And Taylor says, this is a friend of mine, Larry, say hello to him. And Cassie, I never will forget this. Cassie got on the phone and said, hi, Larry, I'm naked. Are you naked, Larry? And that was the first conversation I had with her. So I said, okay, this is going to be a cool experience.
Yeah, no, it's been quite a journey. It's been really fun. I think that, you know, him having the opportunity because, you know, his girls he was always working, you know, and so he got another opportunity to actually, you know, participate in basketball games and volleyball games and cheerleading and football games and going to all of the events and everything that he.
Because that's such a big deal in Texas, like that Friday Night Fever, whatever that movie is. Friday Night Lights. It's really like that out here. And I didn't get any part of that growing up. And I certainly didn't get that with my daughters either, because I was an absentee because working all the time. And I didn't ever go to a PTA meeting or pep rally. And this is something, this is special. I got to be normal.
Did people know who you were in the high schools? Like, because, you know, you always have those moms or dads that have been in network marketing. When you went to there, did anybody know who you were?
No, this is the funny part. Okay. So this is the funny part. So
I know what you're going to say.
Okay. So first of all, you have to know like where we met. I mean, like where he came from, like, the closet that he had in California where I met him at this, you go Google it and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's like 20,000 square foot. Like his closet was bigger than the house that I was living in at that time. His closet. Okay. 2,400 square feet was big.
That's like the kind of closet I need.
Yes,
right?
Everybody does.
And so whenever we were deciding where to live, I mean, that was a big deal. So hence where we get to prosper. Right. And so this was the first time he had ever lived in a neighborhood. Like he was freaking out, like seriously. Like,
and either live behind gates or gates behind gates. And this is a neighborhood. I could hear the dogs next door and I was hyperventilating.
I mean, and so, I mean, that was a big deal. So we've always, you know, we've always been of the accord, like anybody comes to our door that's selling something, we always purchase. We always buy because we need
to know your address so we can all come over and knock.
Well, you know, I mean, because we want to support, if somebody is an entrepreneur and, you know, and they have the courage to come up to the door and do that kind of hard work, we always, and especially like little kids, you know, and they're always they want to sell something.
Girl Scout cookies.
Whatever it is, like we always purchase. So anyway, Larry, one time one of the kids came and he was on the phone and he was just like, the little kid was like, hey, like, are you a wrestler? Because Larry's got really broad shoulders and stuff. And he was like, yeah, dude. He was like on the phone. He was like, yeah, I'm a wrestler. And he was like, what's your name? And Larry's like, the Tumbler. and so before you know it, like our whole community knew Larry as a professional wrestler.
Like they thought it was
WWE. For years, and so it's one of those things like, it's almost like you're incognito. And then whenever people find out who you are, they're like, it's very interesting, but I would say no. And just because it's been a smaller town community feel, but whenever they do find out, it's really interesting, to be honest with you.
So are you still known as the Tumbler in your neighborhood?
Listen, about a year ago, that came back up again, and we do keep a very low profile because, home is home and the community's the community. And the reality is we're not any different than anybody else. And that's the truth of the matter. And, the Lamborghini bikini phase I went through, 30 years ago, and so now I like being normal.
I mean, even our next door neighbors that have known us for years, and we talk to them all the time. They've never really asked us what we do. And it was only just a couple of years ago, and he came over, and we've lived next door for 15 years. And he came over and he was like, you never told me. You never told me that you were the co-founder of Herbalife. Like, what? I mean, just because that's
like, who told you?
Yeah, he was like, we were like, how did you find out? And so it was an interesting conversation. So it's like we have like this online, offline persona. I would, you know what I mean? Like that's just kind of how we like to do it.
And at the end of the day, when I'm on stage on camera, I have, whatever happens to me with that special anointing that I have on my life comes out. And when it's not that way, I'm still the long-haired hippie construction worker that can't tell you necessarily color your
Larry,
eyes concept.
I think we need a picture to put along with this Facebook Live, so we can put it in the comments.
Okay. But that's, I mean, so what we do is, I mean, how we got to where we are, I mean, that's something that we, with his experience and my experience, we just decided that we would not, we wouldn't be distributors, that we would take our experience with his passion and with my experience, with his experience, my passion, and really have an impact on the industry as a whole, and do and talk what we're passionate about, which is we've always believed that network marketing is the average person's best chance, right? And we've always felt like for the last 10 years, for sure, that it's gotten away from that message. It's gotten away from the being about the stay-at-home mom or the long-haired hippie construction worker. And so just recently, so we actually, there was a time, hang on just a second, the air conditioner guys.
Okay.
Here. Sorry, guys.
Normal life here. Air conditioner's on. I gotta go let them in.
So our air conditioner.
Did your ring bell just go off?
Yeah, our phones are blowing up over here because they told us they weren't going to be here till 10, and they're early. They would be early on today.
If it was Comcast, they would be late, right?
Yeah.
Well, because you're doing something right now, right? That's
of
always.
Course. Yeah, of course. So I'll tell a little bit about this just because I think this is, I'll brag on Larry, especially since he's not here. So whenever it's been about 11, it's been 11 years ago now, but what was happening is that we started really seeing this trajectory. We started seeing things change, and especially whenever social media came about. And, and everybody was saying, that's old school. That's old school stuff. No, that's not the way they do it, because everybody started being so ingrained in social media. And we started really questioning, our core values, our belief system, and the fundamentals that we knew that were foundational in building any kind of network marketing business. And so we started working a lot in Europe. And one of the companies that we started working with was a company that Larry had got started 26 years ago. And the founder had actually learned how to speak English because he was German. He learned how to speak English through Larry's training tapes. And so Larry was very integral in their marketing plan, their strategy, their whole philosophical approach. And so we started working, that was one of the companies we started working with over in Europe. And we started putting together, doing what we do, like focus groups. And we started working in Spain and isolating this. And so we were going, you have to think about the barrier of translation, but really putting our hands around a core group of people and developing strategy and marketing strategy with language. And things started really growing very quickly. Now, at the time, this company was only doing 120 million a year. This was in 2011. And things started really happening. Well, then Italy, they were like, what is Spain doing? So we started working with Italy. Now, the demographic was a little bit different because it was between the ages of 18 to 25. So they were taking what we were teaching them, basic fundamentals in Spain, and they were implementing this demographic in Italy. They started implementing it with social media, and they grew exponentially. And we were like, whoa. I mean, so then we really got our confidence was like, really like, okay, so the message hasn't changed. It's just the delivery mechanism that's the difference. And so we really started honing in on that and really fine tuning what we were doing and how we were going to, and how we were communicating that. And then we started working over in the States, and things started, we started channeling in this message over here. Well, long story short, this company that we started with in 2011, Larry predicted that they would do $1 billion in 2018. Well, they missed it by 1 year. In December, they got their sales figures in, and they hit their $1 billion as he predicted in 2019. So Larry's now mentored his second company to $1 billion, Herbalife and PM International. And but what we decided to do, because we were traveling so much, right? We were like, we've got to figure out how to use technology for our favor. We've got to figure out how to not kill ourselves, and because we were with our messaging, and how do we leverage technology? How do we bring it in to where we can have a bigger impact on more people, and not just the people that we're standing in front of? Mm-hmm. And so that's whenever we came up with the Academy, and to develop the Academy. So what it is it's an academy for everybody, and that's in network marketing for sure. And it's all about basic fundamentals. It's all about core values. It's all about basic business building philosophies that we believe we teach conceptually, because they're principles. Principles never change. Techniques and delivery methods do, but concepts and principles never change. And so if it worked for him 52 years ago, it worked for me 27 years ago, and we proved it out that it's working the same as it is now.
Yeah, because it's really, I just got into the tail end of this, but we got the book coming out, the Millionaire Training Book, which is, and all the guys that are in there in these stories with us are the #1 guys in almost every company out there today. I'm talking.
You've probably heard of Jeff Roberti. He's a $100 million man who's made more money than anybody in network. He started with Larry as the broke waiter in 1982 with Herbalife, right?
Wow. Jay Bennett, #1 in Isogenics, John Solider, Lisa Grossman, they're all in here. Their stories are tied to those basic principles and fundamentals that Taylor's talking about, because we take the LT Academy, and those things are timeless, and they work in every environment, as Taylor was saying, except for the delivery system is different. And all of these guys are still active today. They're the ones that have built the industry, and they attribute it to the training that I got from Bobby and Jim that put together in the form that we did here with Herbalife to drive it forward. And that's what put the Academy together. And plus with Taylor's She Network, because 3 out of 4 of the people in our space are women, tying those two together, it's been magical to what's happened in such a short period of time.
So really our audience is about, because we're really like honing in on, this message of this gig economy, because we totally believe that network marketing, the stats that we have, we show that network marketing has been on a decline since 2015.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, most people don't.
It's gone down almost $1 billion. And for example, 2 years ago, the top 100, the DSN gives out the top 100 awards. 2 years ago, there was over 100 companies over 100 million. Last year, there's only 50. Okay. Oh. And for 4 years in a row, it's declined, and it's become declined. There's only 6 million people in the network market, direct sales space in America that we're talking about. And it's declined because they misidentified the audience, language, and behavior because of social media. And they got very good at bringing in, doing addition. We talk about duplication on our space, but it doesn't happen much anymore. What I mean by addition, one who gets one, one who gets one, one who gets one, because they're teaching marketing instead of network marketing. You got to learn how to be a marketer before you can be a network marketer. Well, there's only 6 million people in that space. In the gig world, okay, and the gig world was created because of the Lamborghini. They said, you got to do all this great stuff. And there's almost 60 million people over here that want to make $500 to $1,500 a month that are now doing it through Amazon, Airbnb, Uber, on all of those things. Okay. And so network marketing is no longer competing with network marketing. It's competing with the gig world. And that's what we specialize to take those principles into that space.
So, one of the things, so going back to what I was originally talking about, like our passion, because we've always talked a principle that, and it's been named the Thompson Rule, which is an 80, 15, and 5 concept, which is 80% of your business will be that person that wants to make an extra $500 to $1,000 a month. Well, we've been talking that language since we've been talking, right? And creating that culture and creating that environment that makes it inclusive of that person and not exclusive. Yes. And what's happened into what Larry's saying is whenever the language has changed in network marketing, and now everybody wants to talk to the 5%er, meaning the person that's the $10,000 a month person, mm-hmm. and they gear everything for that person. They want to go find that person instead of gearing their business and talking to this person, knowing that that's 80%, mm-hmm. right? And so the pendulum has swung. Yes. So you have a bigger ocean, you have a bigger pond to fish from. So when the numbers that we have in like the gig world and the gig economy, whenever he says we're not competing with network marketing, we got to think about how many opportunities in the gig economy there are. Whenever we think about Amazon, Fiverr, Uber, that kind of deal, but what we believe is that what we have is the ultimate gig. Meaning that because in that language and what they're doing, they're trading hours for dollars. But what we do is we're leveraging. And, 1 unit of work over here is 1 unit of pay. But we want to position people to where 1 unit of work can equal 10 units of pay.
Yeah. Which is a Jim Rohn philosophy, right? From the very beginning.
Absolutely.
Yes.
100%.
Yes. And so, we're all about having, really educating people and showing them like that they have what it takes. They have the skills. They don't have to learn more to do more. They don't have to go to, all the, there's been so many times, and especially distributors always take, we call it the path of least resistance. They always say, oh, I don't know enough. So I can't talk about my product. I can't go get customers because I don't know enough about the product. I got to know more, right? Or I can't recruit anybody because I don't know how the marketing plan works, right? I don't know how all that works. I've got to learn more so I can do more. And so we bring it back down to the lowest common denominator, that we create a language that removes all those speed bumps, removes all those barriers, that anybody can come in, no matter what their product, no matter what their service, no matter what their comp plan, and have success right off the bat without having to learn more, without having to do more, if they understand these basics. And if they understand the basics, then whatever they do, whatever they do on top of that will only work better. But they've got to have the foundation first.
And the 80, 15, and 5 that Taylor's talking about, remember I said I went to my default position of 10%. I gave away 90. I could do the 10. That was Taylor too. Okay, they were talking 10,000 a month, and she only wanted to make 800.
Yes.
Every one of these number one guys that are still active in their companies today all started like we did as 80%ers. And so what's happened, and the reason the network marketing space has declined for 4 years in a row, and it's going to happen again this year too, is because they're talking the wrong language to the wrong audience to create the wrong behavior. And so what's happening now with these companies and groups that we're working with that are picking us up, in months, it's making phenomenal difference. But it is like talking a different language, like Italian to English or Spanish. Okay, it's a different language, but once they get it, it's so exciting to watch these people like light up like Christmas trees, and watch the lady truck drivers and the carpet cleaners and the waitresses and the waiters and become like what happened to us.
How do you want people to follow you and get in touch with you, or what do you want them to do next?
So I mean, they can connect with us. We do Wisdom Wednesdays. We have a business page with Larry and Taylor. So we have do Wisdom Wednesdays, so you can follow us there on Facebook.
That's an open community.
So it's an open community. Anybody can come.
Is that what it's called? Is Wisdom Wednesdays?
No. It's just our Facebook page. It's just, you can find it under Larry and Taylor. I mean, that's our business page. So if they were to go to facebook.com/Larry and Taylor, I think that's how it works. And then, for the Wealth Building Academy, the easiest way to get there is wealthbuilding.pro. And then you can find out about the Academy. And we're super excited because we're getting ready to launch an app that's going to go with our Academy. So again, this is generic, and it doesn't matter what the company you're with. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter if you're old or new. It doesn't matter if you're young or old. Yes, that's me. That's me.
Isn't she beautiful?
She is beautiful. You got a doll.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, one thing about the Academy, I don't want to belabor it, but all of these top guys are part of the Academy, and they don't just get to work with us. All of these guys participate because it is a pay it forward thing for these guys at this point, and they understand these principles beyond belief. And so it's such a great place to be for anybody that really wants to make that extra money. And most importantly, what people are after today, 80% of that 60 million in the gig world, they only want 500 to 1,500 a month. But the key is they don't want to disturb their lifestyle. They still want to do the barbecues. They still want to do the soccer games. They don't want to disturb the lifestyle. And if you identify that audience, language, and behavior, it's magical.
Well, Larry and Taylor, thank you so much for hanging out with us today on this beautiful Friday morning. And I think just inspiring our audience to make a leap, make an impact in their family and their legacy that they're creating. You guys are so cute.
Thank you. Oh,
Appreciate
thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
You guys are fun. We enjoy it.
Well, we are super excited that our 4th Connect Summit is coming up on Tuesday. So right at the end of this fabulous 3-day weekend, right? Holiday, Tuesday, May 26th. Our keynote speaker is Les Brown. So if you're hungry for some Les Brown, he will be there.
You gotta say it. You gotta say it like he taught you.
Gotta be hungry.
There you go, Taylor.
We're actually really good. We're really good friends with Les.
Yeah.
He's a great.
Your
guy.
audience really needs to be there when he's on. He's great.
Yes,
he is. Everybody loves Les. Everybody has a Les story.
Yeah, that's great. Well, congratulations. Yeah. That's awesome.
Fabulous. All right. So that's Tuesday, May 26th. We'll put the link in. You can get complimentary tickets to come and hang out with us from noon to 6 p.m. Eastern time, We have a dozen speakers that are coming in to help you to connect with your life, your business, health, wellness, all of it. It's super fun, super interactive, and everybody who registers gets a gift from every speaker is putting together a gift in our virtual gift bag. And our gift bag for this particular summit is over $5,000 in juicy, yummy gifts for you. So register for the Connect Summit 4. We'll put the link in. We'll put the link in the comments below.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I am Ladies Torres, the gratitude specialist and client retention expert, where I teach you how to build relationships for a lifetime. Turn those relationships into raving fans and increase your cash flow without adding a single new client. Building relationships is key right now, right? And you can text the word connection to 26786 to receive your 7 ways to increase your cash flow. Angel, do you have something to give away today?
Sure. You guys can grab my complimentary media guide. If you want more exposure, more visibility, get more people to say, I've heard of you, go to makeyourbigimpact.com. That's makeyourbigimpact.com and download your complimentary guide today. My gift to you. Tina, this is fabulous. Larry.
And let me tell you something. Angel did my exposure yesterday. 176 major channels picked my press release up, wrote articles on me, and talked about me on the news.
Right.
176. So when she says exposure, she means exposure. Thank you guys so much for joining us today on the Angel and Tina Morning Show. Larry and Taylor, thank you guys so much for joining us this morning. We're Angel and Tina, where you can come every single weekday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, where we're bringing you a little bright sunshine to your day. And we will see you on Monday, Memorial Day, even though it's a holiday.
Thanks, guys.
We'll be here.
Thank you, ladies.
Bye, guys.
Bye.